here with a new weekly painting, and this time I want to talk a little bit about my impressions, my learnings, and what is my level of satisfaction with the contrast paints. Okay, I've been using them for, we'll say, about 2 months since they were launched. I think 3 months now, and I have done different experiments, right? So here what you see is, this is, for example, this, if you want to see, there is a tutorial in my channel how to do this type of fur only using contrast paints and without any other element. Here you can see, well, no, we need to do the star because the star is there. I have paint, I play with the skin. This guy is mainly paint with contrast paints, and if you follow my channel you have seen that I use contrast paints quite in a different ways. So far I find the contrast paints to work pretty well. They work very nicely when you have very texturized surfaces like this, furs this type of furs or pelts that you have on the miniatures. You have to be more careful when you apply to flatter zones like this one. You can see when the zone is flatter, you need to clean up later on. So this is just applying, but you can see here the difference between applying it here and applying it here. The Black Templar is a great paint. You see the horns here. It's a great paint if you want to work on black. The white is also a great one. So some are better than others. The skins, you can see this is just one layer of contrast paint to do the skin. So what are the good things is that for me the contrast paint is like applying in one base color plus shade. Okay. In some cases it's better than that, in some cases can be worse. For example, here, this is just, if you do here on the, this is done with this one, okay, Zygote brown. You can see that because the color is very dark, you don't have too much contrast. So if you really want to work that, you will need to work yourself to do some highlights. The same paint, Zygote brown, has been used when you have fur. You can see it looks like it, but you have much better texture. So again, all the paints will depend and will react depending, here you see as well, how much depth you have in the middle, how much detail. Skin tones, very happy with them. You can see here you have very nice skin, but when you apply the skin, you have to do it in a way, or when you apply this paint, you have to be careful. You have to, let me explain here a little bit. So let's do an example. I'm going to apply Dvakor dark coat, okay, dark coat flesh on this guy. Okay, what we want to do here is we want to apply it not too much, so you want to really spread the paint. So you can go quite thick, but you want to spread it all over the place, okay? And you want to be precise where you apply it, because if you go over another surface where you want to apply contrast paints, you will need to go back to white. So the contrast paints does not work if you have another paint going over it, right? So for example, imagine that by mistake I have put some fur, I went with the brown of the fur over the skin. I will need to first to correct this this mistake, or where I have go over with the skin, or with this, sorry, with the brown, right? So what I mean is, contrast paints don't cover other paints, so they have to work on top of white, bone color, depending what is the effect that you want to give, okay? But they don't work well if you, especially the light ones like the skin, they will not work well if you have made a mistake. So I try to go very carefully. I try to put just on the spot where I want it. So I don't use normally the contrast paints to paint all over the miniature without control. Okay, I try to use them in a controlled way. I think Edgeworth was asking more to do it like a wash over the whole miniature. I recommend you to go color by color with control on the surface where you want to apply the contrast paint. And with the same carefulness that you have with the wash. So try that it's not pulling anywhere. Okay, for example, here is pulling a little bit. I will remove a little bit of the excess. Okay, try that it's not pulling, and try that you have quite, you apply this, homogeneously. Okay, the paint will do the effect, but you want to apply it on all the surface where you want this skin tone to be, right? The other thing I realized, from time to time, you will see that the contrast paint may not cover a point, right? Or maybe you do a mistake. It's not a problem with the contrast paint like in the wash. So if you miss something, you can come back and go over with the contrast paint and you will solve the problem, okay? So this is the way how we'll apply. You can see it's quite fast. You have a very nice shading, okay? And I will say you don't want, and yeah, although against what you say that you can do a thick coat, I recommend better to go with a thin coat. Okay, but you can see it's quite easy, straightforward, and easy to apply. On contrast paint, you want to go from light to dark. Why I say that? Because, for example, here on these bandages, okay, if I put by mistake a little bit of the flesh, if I want to go with a very dark brown, like the Zigor brown, it's not going to be a problem. Zigor brown is dark enough. If you go the opposite way, right, you put Zigor brown where is the skin, forget about that. You need to clean up before applying this on the skin. Okay, you can see quite fast. I have not done the hand, but quite fast. You have a very nice shading. But I will say for me, this is not good enough, right? You will need to do some highlights. This is good enough if you just go for a tabletop, easy tabletop. But I will say, I will always recommend to do some highlights later on, as I did. If you want to know, with this the bones, right? This one here, of course, yeah, it's up to everybody. But you can see when you have long flat surfaces, you will have this type of shadings, okay? You will need to clean up if you want a much nicer look later on. So this is another thing. If you want to, but I also did some experiments. So part of doing what you have seen, applying just a contrast paint and have the nice shading, you can do here. I just mixed the colors and I did the transitions just playing with the contrast paints. If you want to know how this was done, I have a video, but basically you just start applying, mixing them on the fly directly on here. But you don't do like in other wet blending. So I just was applying the brown in the middle, the light color outside, and then you let them mix in between. Okay, and you have the contrast paint will mix in between and will have a nice transition. So you can also play with that. The last thing I want to say is I use the contrast paint in the towel. And sorry, I don't have here the towel, but one thing that you can do is you play, for example, you can apply, let's put this example, you can I can do a full wash, not full wash, I can apply, for example, a gray, okay? What I was using is you can apply basilicum gray all over the miniature. You can apply, if you want, a sepia color like a skeleton, okay, or even and the agaros. So you play this all over the miniature and suddenly you will have a shaded miniature. So if you want to paint by showing by showing what is by transparent paints is what I mean, right? By glazes, I find that one way to do it, you can apply paint white and basilico gray and you will have all the pre-shading done. So I did this with the towel. On the towel, what I did is I prime white, I apply basilicum gray. You can see also this in my tutorials, but I just want here to explain all the things about what I learned about the contrast paint. So you apply this, and then you can use this as a pre-shading. And in the towel, as I want to have the slots between the armors in black, you just paint the armor color, leaving the slots with the black that was coming from the basilicum gray. Don't use Temple Guard, Black Templar, sorry. Don't use this Black Templar because it's too strong. I would recommend you to use basilicum gray. In the deep recesses, it's going to be black, right? So you apply this, and you can use the contrast paint as a pre-shading. I did this on the towel. It helped me a lot to do all the segmentation of the armor. So you play this on a Tau, you have all the armor segmented on grays and dark, on black, and then do go back with the color. Imagine that you want to do it as I was doing with Zamesi Desert, and then you go play by play applying the Zamesi Desert, leaving the recesses, leaving the slots between the armor plates in the black, and you have suddenly the armor of the Tau done into steps. White prime, basilicum gray, and then you do armor plates in the color that you want. Can be red, can be any color that will cover easily the gray. Because the plates are not going to be black, are going to be gray, and this helps a lot. It's better than just priming in black, right? Because by doing that, you can see very nicely where you have shadings, where you have slots, where you have to play the color. So it's like a zenithal priming, but without being zenithal, because it's just pre-shading uniformly all around. So, summarizing, I find that contrast paints are very interesting. It allows you to do new effects that were not possible before. It speed me up a lot on doing this type of transitions here. I will do more in the channel when I have a moment. I will try to do in red, for example. You can do put red, and I will try to do darker color at the base of the cape, so I can play with that, and then if it works I will show. So it opens the door to do new experimentation on how to play the colors and how to you can blend in a way the contrast paints. And the last part, the last thing that you can do is pre-shading. Use just a neutral color, use a gray, use a bone color, use even a brown. You have a pre-shading, for example. You can do a pre-shading here with brown, right? I pre-shade a whole miniature in brown, and then I only have to be careful to highlight all the skin, right? I prefer in this case that you have a lot of colors, maybe go color by color, but it's another option that you can have. So this is what I learned on the contrast paints. This is what I want to share with you. I hope you have find this is a more theoretical video, more a chat, but please know I would like to know how you use the contrast paints, if you use them, what is your takes from the contrast paints, and what are your learnings. Very interested to know the experiences of other people with the contrast paints. So that's all for now. I hope you have liked this video, and as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.